Dishonored feels like the true spiritual successor to some of my favorite games as a kid. Thief, Hitman, little Deus Ex in there, but what it really comes down to is choice. Dishonored gives you the choice to approach any situation however you want. With the number of abilities that you are able to upgrade and choose from, it really gives you like a Swiss Army knife to be able to be the master ninja magical assassin that the game sets you out to be. Couple that with the beautiful and just engrossing city of Dunwall, it's pretty amazing that they were able to create a game this well thought out and pull it off as well as they did. For me, Sleeping Dogs does GTA better than GTA. Now, I know that Grand Theft Auto is one of my favorite series of all time, but Sleeping Dogs capitalizes on some of the mistakes that they did. Amazing hand-to-hand combat with some awesome driving and great acting and storytelling. Although it's, pretty typical story. Really, Sleeping Dogs is I'm so thankful it came out because it turned out to be a really, really great open world game where you were rewarded for all the side missions you did, all those little crappy things that you were supposed to do that showed up on the map. Those had a purpose, and beating a guy with anything you can find, using those environmental attacks, and borrowing that system, that fight system that Batman Arkham Asylum used is just spot on, and it works perfectly in this Hong Kong phooey cop action movie. I love it. I didn't get caught up in the Mass Effect 3 ending debacle, or whatever you want to call it. I was satisfied with the original ending, but it was really a summation of my journey and just the final chapter in my Shepard story. And while it wasn't my favorite Mass Effect game, it did finish off the series well, and it also had some really sound mechanics. Blending a shooter game and an RPG can be difficult, and I think over time Mass Effect has done a really good job of sort of hitting both of those audiences really well. Some of the choices I might not agree with, but I had a great time playing through Mass Effect 3, seeing all of my favorite characters again, and just, it was the icing on the cake to finish that awesome trilogy. Journey was a very unique experience for me because I had never played a game like this or made me feel this way since Eco or Shadow of the Colossus. The emotion that it elicits from me was unspeakable. It was crazy what I felt after my 2-hour play session with the game. The stunning visuals, plus that amazing co-op, the seamless co-op where you just are traveling and you find another person who is also on a journey, and the only way you can communicate is through a button press, a little song, a little chirp. And I just thought that was so novel. It deserves to be on this list, and just that emotional response was, it got the most emotion out of me out of almost any game on this list for when it comes to just raw feelings. So it definitely deserves to be on here, and I had such a good time with it. If you haven't played it, go play it. There's something to be said about a game that puts a machete, crowbar, knife, bat, even a gun in your hand, and just says, go. Hotline Miami is this game, and once you get past the old retro style graphics, actually I really like the retro style graphics, the soundtrack is amazing. Hotline Miami is just pure viscerality, and it really hit me hard when I was about halfway through when I was playing Hotline Miami. I just discovered what this game was all about, and if you haven't finished it, I implore you to finish it, because the ending actually has some awesome meaning to it, and really is a commentary on gaming as a whole, but just the pinpoint accuracy, the repetition, how difficult it was quite the experience, and man, just that soundtrack. Hopping into the top half of my favorite games this year is Max Payne 3. Now, I know a lot of people out there didn't really enjoy it as much as I did, but I really found that it was my favorite Max Payne because even though it didn't stick with the same sort of noir city feel that the originals did, Max Payne 1 and 2, it had some solid mechanics. It felt really good to use the bullet time and pop out and shoot dudes. And it actually had a pretty decent story in my eyes. I found being able to explore Max Payne's character, how he's a pretty shitty bodyguard and has to sort of make up for his mistakes. It was looking into the soul of a man and just seeing what he was about, why he was doing these things, and yeah, I thought that he was one of the most well-developed characters of his kind. You know, he is a hired gun, he is a goon, but, you know, Max Payne 3 did something that no other third-person shooter this year did. I have not pulled out a piece of paper, graph paper at that, and written down things that I need to figure out for a game in probably 10 years. Fez forced me to do this because I had to decipher codes, and if I wanted to get the most out of the game, it required you to do this. Fez just threw me back, all the way back to when you talked about games before there was the internet, where you were on the schoolyard saying, hey, did you figure this out? Or look what I discovered. And it just had this crazy feeling to it that I've never felt in a really long time. Now, I didn't encounter any glitches, so to me, Fez was, you know, very well done and all that. Again, just amazing art, amazing soundtrack, crazy music, and you know, to me, a soundtrack goes a long way. But yeah, those puzzles and the mechanic, even though the mechanic is so cool and so mind-boggling, it's not even like you only use that for half the game, and the other half of the game is this just cryptic journey that you go on, and Fez is nuts, and I think that's why I like it so much. And you know, you say what you want about Polytron and Phil Fish, like they created a masterpiece with this one. Far Cry 3 is all about fun, and I mentioned how much I enjoyed the choice that Dishonored gave you back at number 10. Now Far Cry takes this idea of choice and gives it to the player, but it also compounds it by giving every single thing on the island choice. The animals, your allies, the enemies, and that all works in this ecosystem almost flawlessly. It's amazing to see a tiger take out a guy while you're, you know, throwing grenades into a gas station to distract enemies, while another set of dudes are coming down to shoot you down from the hill. It's nuts how much fun I had with Far Cry, and really being able to explore this island on my terms, and being able to discover things and approach every situation in a different way is pretty admirable. And even though the story started out pretty strong, tapered off into, you know, something that I don't care for, I'm not going to let that get me down on how much I enjoyed everything else. And really, Far Cry 3 is one of the best gamey games this year, and that's why it deserves the number 3 spot on my list. Mark of the Ninja. Where do I start? There is a plethora of stealth games that came out this year, and Mark of the Ninja is the best one. And the reason being that it gave you all the information necessary to be successful. Every single footstep you took, every single movement, item, or attack you did, it showed you on screen what that would do and how that would affect the environment and the other characters on screen. It was the stealth gamer's dream, and that transitions into such a smooth game style and gameplay. The game, you would hop into a room, know exactly what you wanted to do, and you could execute it perfectly and without any mistakes. And if you did make a mistake, you knew why you screwed up, and you know, the checkpointing was super generous, so you could just do that again and do that again until you got it right, or until you got it however you wanted to do. And it's pretty cool to be able to go through a whole game and not be able to, you know, shed one drop of blood. Now you could do that in a couple other of these games almost, but Mark the Ninja did it the best, you know, and that clay art style, they really hit it home. With Shank 1 and 2, I enjoyed those games, but man, they really did well with Mark of the Ninja, and man, it is just such an amazing game experience and one of the most accessible stealth experiences. It's not, you know, it's repetitive, but only if you want it to be, only if you are that perfectionist that wants it to do that. You can play through the game and get through it, and it's super accessible in that sense, and I think that's very important when it comes to stealth games. So check out Mark of the Ninja, as it's my number 2 pick of 2012. I have a soft spot in my heart for turn-based strategy games, but that's not the reason that XCOM Enemy Unknown is at the top of my list. It couples everything together that I love about games. Decision making, tactics, strategy, but also, you know, consequences for your decisions. And I think playing in Iron Man mode was one of the best choices I've ever made while playing a game, and I think XCOM was a huge surprise to me, because not only did it do what I wanted it to do, I think it opened up strategy games to a whole new audience. And I can't say that about many games. Like, strategy games are pretty tough to get into, and what Mark of the Ninja did for stealth games, XCOM did for strategy games. So I'm super happy that that Firaxis was able to pull it off. You know, now when you are able to customize your characters to the full extent, give them names, actual names, and that, you know, turns into the gravity of your soldiers. You care about your soldiers on the battlefield, because once they are dead, they are gone. You're not getting them back. And I think that's such a huge thing, because we're so used to being able to just continue and restart, like, and we've gotten so used to that. And I think it's part of games to have those consequences. And of course, you don't have to play with that. You're going to lose soldiers, but I mean, it just hit me right here where XCOM is truly an amazing game that I think everyone can play, not only strategy gamers. And I just loved it. I wish I could play it more. Like, I only played through 2 campaigns, or two full scenarios, and I want more of it. I can't wait to play more campaigns, and it's going to be, you know, installed on my machine forever. So yeah, XCOM Enemy Unknown, number 1 this year. So that about does it for the list. Thanks for checking it out, guys, and we'll hope to see you next year. Again, always curious to hear your thoughts. Post them in the comments below, and give me your top 10, top 5. I don't care. Give me some of your favorite games this year. I'm always curious to hear what people think and their reasoning. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys later.